Hey guys, it's Raging Roadrunner here with a video today on Bastion buffs and all the other patch notes on 1.8. Most of this is going to be focused on the Bastion just because he's the biggest change, but I will be talking later on about some of the other changes that are going on. I want to quickly talk about the patch notes and then actually talk about some of the stuff that the patch notes doesn't cover in my general opinion on his changes. So first off, his sentry mode, now it deploys in 1 second instead of 1.5. This is actually a big change. I think it makes him a lot more mobile and it increases his survivability. Also, his bullet spread is now increased by 50%, which is a big nerf to his long range damage while on sentry mode, I think, but also it makes him devastating in close range because of the fact that he also has an extra 100 rounds in his clip while in sentry mode. So he can just unload for days. It seems to never end when you're firing, and say he can do so much damage while in a close range. It just makes it a little bit more difficult with long range, with it being at 50% and always at 50%. Also, his headshot damage multiplier has been removed, so he can no longer deal critical damage, so just steady damage, which also helps, I guess, because you don't have to focus on trying to get headshots for the extra damage. That bullet spread is, you can just aim it right at the body, the bulk of the person, and make sure you hit your targets more often. Then, in his recon mode, his magazine capacity has been increased from 20 to 25, and his bullet spread has been decreased by 25%. This, in my opinion, almost makes him feel like a very slow soldier. He's a good hit scan, he does good damage, and I really like this change. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but honestly, he feels a lot better in his recon mode, whereas before I couldn't stand to spend 2 seconds in it just because I felt so vulnerable and so weak. The best change, though, besides the fact that his deployment has been decreased, I think is his self-repair, because now you can do it while moving, which is so helpful. There's several clips in this video where I have found myself in kind of a tight situation and able to back up and heal through a lot of the damage. Sometimes it saves me, sometimes it doesn't. I feel like if this was, a competitive game and I was with teammates that could protect me and everything, I could easily back out of harmful situations and heal myself up, and survivability has increased a lot. Of course, there's still going to be plenty of moments where you see Bastion mains that just sit there and they'll take damage and not pay attention to the fact that they're almost dead. They just keep on firing. But yeah, as long as you're aware of your health bar, you can survive a lot better, and these changes are definitely a major improvement on him. The last thing the patch notes covers is his new passive, which is called Ironclad, which means in his sentry or tank configuration he takes 35% less damage, which I think once again increases his survivability. It has now become increasingly more difficult to take him down, and it's probably going to take more coordination as a team when in a competitive game in order to do so without losing any players. One thing the patch notes doesn't cover, though, is the fact that when he switches from sentry to recon mode, when he's at the end of his clip and then he switches back quickly, it doesn't actually reload for him. He does have to do the reload animation himself, which I don't know if they decreased it or not, but it does feel a little bit shorter, and so it's not so bad, so I don't think it's a big deal. On the other hand, if you do switch into recon mode after explaining some of your clip and you spend a certain amount of time, I'm not exactly sure how many seconds it is, it's not very long though, it will eventually reload for you as well, so you don't have to worry about constantly reloading every time you switch back and forth. So all in all, these changes definitely feel like a buff to him, and he seems like a more viable pick. So what does that mean for the game? First of all, we all know that he's a popular pick in the lower tiers, so expect more of that. If you hate Bastion, I'm sorry, you're going to be seeing more of him. Also, what does this mean for Soldier? I feel like since this is almost the same as Soldier, he feels kind of the same, just, slower. We might see Soldier get picked less and Bastion picked more over that. Now, the higher tier into Masters, Grandmasters, will he be picked more? I don't know. Maybe it'll take some time. Maybe they'll decide that he is good enough to be played more often. It's just time will tell. On the other hand, this is very good news for Sombra. Sombra, of course, is a counter to him because when she hacks him, it puts him out of his sentry mode and makes him a lot squishier and just a lot easier to deal with. So Sombra, who's been seeing some trouble getting playtime, all that sort of stuff, is finally, I think, going to get a little bit more if you see more Bastion come into play. So as Bastion now, you are forced to try to take better positioning in order to watch out for the Sombra. You'll see here that the Bastion guarding the capture point is actually got his back put into a corner so that he can see everything and kind of protect himself, and it made it increasingly difficult to hack him without getting hit, and therefore I died. So if these Bastion buffs indirectly cause Sombra to be played more, then when you're in sentry mode you might have to take a more defensive position in order to protect yourself from getting hacked. Of course, then all you have to really worry about is the EMP when it comes about, because she gets it quite often. Also, Genji mains can breathe a little because even with the reduced damage taken in sentry mode, Bastion can still be melted by deflect as long as he's firing into you. So I feel like that is definitely something I was worried about when I saw the changes, and I'm glad to see that it's still there. On a completely different note off of Bastion, I've talked about him enough. Capture the Flag is now on 4 new maps. You have Nepal, Oasis, Ilios, and then of course it's still on Lijiang Tower. So I feel like this is them pushing themselves towards putting this in competitive play. It is going to be staying in arcade mode for a little while longer, and I definitely think that's going to be a good idea. I'd love to see it in competitive where people can actually coordinate stuff and you'll see more team play, and I think it just improve the game mode a lot. Next, I want to briefly talk about D.Va's defense matrix buff. Instead of bullets having a set travel time that they have to have before the defense matrix blocks it, it is now immediately blocked, which means she's going to be blocking more damage than before, and defense matrix is even more OP than it was before. It's not a huge change, but enough to make a difference. And last, but I think certainly least, is the Mercy change. I still don't think that she is all that great. I just made a video about her, well, the supports in general, and where they stand, and I think Mercy kind of ranks last. But the change will help her out a good bit. So, and now, when she hits Q, when she resurrects, she will also get the invulnerability period that the rest of the team will. The interesting part is that she can still fire or use her abilities while invulnerable, whereas the rest of the team has to wait for that period to wear off before they can. So it gives her a brief time to reset and get ready to continue the fight. Will that really help her survive? I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit longer, but also there's still the issue of her not surviving long enough to even get the res off in the first place. I've seen way too many fights go down with Mercy dying before she can get her res off because she doesn't hide or doesn't play well, whatever. So, will this help her? Yes. Is it going to be a huge change? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's going to cause her to be played more. Maybe the first few weeks, and then people are going to realize that Ana is still better. But it's still, I mean, it's sending Mercy in the right direction. All in all, I think these buffs are very good and very needed. It pushes Overwatch in the right direction and makes it where more heroes are viable, and you'll see more of a variety in competitive play. So I really like what they're doing. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what these changes mean to you, and how you feel about them and everything like that. So please leave your feedback. I'd love to hear from you. And also, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And let me know what kind of content you might want to see in the future. I've got a few more plans on videos, but if there's anything specific that y'all would like to see from me, I would love to hear that from you. And also, have a great day. Thank you for watching. Stay hydrated.